Hi there, this is Dan Amrick from Palette Swap Ninja, and I don't know why, but you're still listening to the OMG Hour.
Hi, I'm Ryan McCaffrey from IGN. You're listening right now to the OMG Hour. OMG stands for Old Married Gangsters. Wait, what's that? You guys aren't gangsters? What am I even doing here then?
Hi, this is Dan Amrick, author of Critical Path, and you know, the thing that really gets me going in the morning is a big stack of pancakes. And if I don't have pancakes, the OMG Hour.
Grim, this is Sam. I've just infiltrated the OMG Hour.
Hi, this is Dan Amrick from Palette Swap Ninja, and you're listening to the OMG Hour. It's like maple syrup for your ears.
You're listening to the OMG Hour.
Welcome to episode number 250 of the OMG Hour, our 5 years anniversary, sort of. Last week was really it. But anyway, I am your host. I've been your host for 5 years. I am Sean Evans, otherwise known as Zion Tane everywhere.
And I just rolled over my microphone cable, and I'm now somewhat tethered to where I am, which is amazing.
Oh, good.
I'm Jeff. Welcome to the episode.
Welcome, Jeff,
Number
and happy
250.
250.
Way to keep it professional, Jeff. I mean, come on. It's a professional outfit we got going
Yes.
I've
here.
been doing it professional for 250 episodes. I think it's just time to let loose.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let you talk.
Chico, no, I'm talking. No, me.
No.
My turn.
No.
My turn. You've had 250 episodes to talk. I've had less. I get more time. This is Tico, Mr. Second Place, also here for not quite as many episodes as Sean.
How many episodes, Tico? Come on. How many episodes?
180.
No, wrong.
81.
I don't know.
81.
Yeah, I think you're correct. I think you are correct. 81. Good job, Tico. Yay.
Wow. See, if you throw numbers, eventually one of them will be right.
You just throw them. One of them will stick. So, yeah, we 250 episodes. We're going to have a bit of a look back here today. We also have a great interview coming up with a friend of the show. He's been on a couple of times. Of course, Mr. Dan Amrick. We're going to have him on
a
again.
long time, though.
We had him on episode 2, and we had him on episode 100 in our musical episode, our musical segment of our Epic 100. So we're going to have Dan back to talk about his latest project. Of course, I'm sure everyone already knows about Princess Leia's stolen Death Star plans.
It's also 5 years in the making.
Which is also 5 years in the making, exactly. And we touch on that in the interview. So that's coming up a bit later in the show. So, yeah, for now, we got a couple of games we want to talk about. Tico, why don't you start? Wait.
Wait.
Happy May the 4th.
May the 4th be with you both.
All
and
week,
all
Sean,
of
you've
you.
been trying to get it right.
I
And
know.
you've been failing miserably. And finally, here we are. So,
Happy Star Wars Day,
live
everybody.
long and prosper, everybody.
That's right.
Yes.
I hope that you had a great day. I know, Star Trek Bridge Crew is going to be out really soon.
Right.
I
Very
think that
important.
everybody will enjoy that. It's too bad they didn't release it today. I don't know what's wrong with them.
Yes, on
Since,
Star Wars
since
Day.
we're on May the 4th, I'm going to put out there, today is my wife's birthday, and I know she's never going to listen or watch, but I'm going to tell her happy birthday here in case somebody else tells her that I mentioned that she's letting me record a show on her birthday.
Happy birthday,
that's
Shannon.
good. You should make her listen to the show because I want to tell her that of all the things that you've said about her on this show, that was the nicest.
That
really.
was by far the nicest.
So you should get her to listen
she'll
in
believe
so
that.
she can hear that nice thing that you just
So
said.
happy
She'll believe
birthday.
that because I am not a good person. I'm a horrible husband, and I'm lucky that she puts up with me for as much as she does. So
And okay.
Wow.
You're
She's not even hearing you're sucking up. That's good.
Wow.
That's good.
Good
You're
stuff.
trained well.
just in case.
All right, Tico, what do you want to start with?
All right, let's start with the first one. So
Which is?
yeah, so I played some Outlast 2.
Oh, yes. Horror
Oh,
game.
this doesn't look like something I'm going to like
This-
at all.
No, it's a happy-go-lucky, fun, cartoony type.
Right.
No, it scared the crap out of me.
Are
Like,
you
it's-
serious?
it's-
Wait. You like horror game? You like horror movies? You
I
like?
do. It's still creepy. It is very creepy. Like you're
Okay, so what is Outlast? Explain to everybody what it is.
Explain it to the listeners.
Okay, so it is a horror genre game. You are tasked with you're a reporter who's crash landed and you're just trying to find your way through this creepy village area, and it's like all at night, so you only have your camera that is basically being used as your light source. So you've basically got this black and white, sort of this green and white night vision camera.
Yeah,
night vision camera that you're sort of walking around it. Like you run out of batteries, and it's pitch black. Like there's no like, oh, I can kind of make something out there. It's dark. It's creepy.
It is very creepy looking. It's first person.
All first person.
Yeah.
And again, you have to. There's certain things you can do with the camera up that you have to. I think put the camera down to fight. So like if you're in the dark areas and stuff like that, it is a very creepy game.
Why would you walk into this building that you're about to walk into?
Because there's nowhere else to go. This is a creepy building too. You go down these stairs. There's a pile of dead babies in here.
So
I'm not even kidding. There's a pile of dead babies in this room.
So this is much different than the first game, because the first game, I believe, took place in an asylum.
Yeah, in an insane asylum. And yeah, like an abandoned insane asylum.
Yeah.
And you're again a reporter trying to solve the story. So you've crash landed your helicopter and you're just sort of piecing together things. But there's like creepy, like hillbilly people who are sacrificing babies and hitting you with axes and stuff. And
So I think we need to explain it. In the Outlast games, you can't fight.
no, it is basically hide and run.
Yes, that is it. You cannot fight. If you are caught, you are dead.
Yeah.
Right. And so the object is to, I guess, is to survive, is to outlast the evening.
It's a survival horror genre game,
And if you hear someone coming, the only thing you can do is run and hide.
yeah. And it took me a little bit to figure that out, by the way, because I said, "Look, okay, I got to be able to do something." When they come, where's my prompt to tell me how to punch them?
No.
And
Oh,
then
no.
I literally got stabbed in the groin by this crazy psycho murdering person, and it's not a pleasant game. This game really is creepy.
So would it be better in VR?
Oh my gosh.
I think that it would probably cause people to ruin their VR as they go running from the room with the headset still attached.
You're probably not far off the mark.
And I've played survival horror genre before, but like that was back in the day when like the graphics weren't as good, the atmosphere wasn't as good, and stuff like that. You didn't really get that sense that you're there. I played this at night. Everybody else had gone to sleep. I'm playing this at night, just going, oh well, we'll play a little bit. See what happens. They're like, no, lights have to come back on. Take a breather every once in a while. Switch over to some cartoons.
What's creepy too is you can kind of hear it on the audio here. Is you can hear someone talking,
Yeah.
but you don't know where they are. It's very creepy.
Oh, you'll see in a second. Yeah, that happens.
What is? No, you got some crazy woman chasing you,
And yeah, then I die.
and you just saw a blade go through your stomach.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I'm just imagine something like that in VR where you actually look down and see this knife coming through your belly.
I was terrified enough when I was playing Robinson the Journey and a raptor ate me.
Right.
I do not. That was scary enough for.
I think the Outlast games are available in VR, aren't they?
I
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Maybe
I thought the first one was they did have a VR version or a VR experience with something, but it is very creepy. It is unnerving to sit and go through, and it does take you out of your comfort zone immediately when you're just walking through discovering stuff. That pit of babies is an uncomfortable scene to see.
Yeah. Wow. So as a horror fan, you were even creeped out.
Yeah,
that says a lot.
That's one of the reasons why you like horror, is you like to be creeped out. But it is like playing that and being part of that experience. Really, they did a good job of that. It is creepy.
Excellent. So, do you recommend it for horror fans then?
For horror fans, absolutely. For fans of cartoons and children's games, absolutely hop in there, grab that, sit your kids down in front of it.
Good stuff.
Your 6-year-old nephew, grab that game for him right away. Leave the room and let him play. Enjoy.
Excellent. Good.
So I'm not a good person.
We had to skip over something last week for sake of time. But Tico, you were playing the Prey demo,
Yes,
which
I
of
did
course
pick up
you
the
can
Prey 1 hour demo.
yes, you can jump in and play the first hour of the game. So tell us how that went.
So it's an interesting thing because it is the first hour of the game, so that they are starting to develop some of the story, which in a demo that's not normally how they you want to do it. They want to sort of build give you an idea of the pacing of the game and stuff. In most demos, but because this is the first hour demo, they're building the story. So you're finding some guns, you're figuring out what you're supposed to be doing. In the first little bit, it's interesting. I don't know if I'm totally sold on this game yet, though.
It's funny you say that because as I watched, and you gave me two videos, two segments from your Xbox to piece together here, and even watching this, it reminds me, first of all, it kind of looks like a BioShock game. Like the environment looks like BioShock, very much so. But, for example, the weapon you just picked up called the glue gun, which can encase the enemies in this, like, stone. And I understand you can use it to create stairs if you need to climb
platforms and stuff like that as well.
But the weapon looked like it wasn't actually doing anything. It looked like, here's a great new weapon, but it doesn't do anything for you right now.
Right now, because again, this is the area where you're supposed to. So, and as in most demos and stuff like that, and a lot of games, here's your game, here's your new weapon, here's your fancy new toy, and here's a bunch of enemies to test it out on immediately. And it almost seems like that's what it was, but it didn't feel like that weapon was what you needed. I ended up switching from the weapon from the glue gun right back to the wrench, immediately back to the wrench to kill the mimics that were attacking me.
Yeah, and I noticed that later on in the video we're showing is you actually pulled out your pistol, and again you ended up switching back to your wrench because it seemed easier.
I am a terrible shot for one thing.
But
this could be just me. But I am not the greatest shot in the world when it comes to using actual guns.
Well, that's the problem, is the mimics in this game, which are the enemies, and they're called mimics because they can mimic any object in the room. Like, you don't even know. Like, they could be a chair, they could be a gun on the floor. So you go to pick up that gun, and it turns out to be a mimic, and it attacks you.
And it attacks you.
But
and
here's
actually
the problem.
That happened at one point where I went to pick up a gun. I was like, oh, there's a gun there, and I went to pick it up, and it turned into an enemy attacked me.
And here's the issue, though. They move so fast. Trying to pick them off with a pistol is nearly impossible.
Yeah, because they are melee. They're not shooting at you, so it's better to be wrench and wait till they get close enough to squash them.
Basically, yeah. But overall, like the actual pace of the game, the way the game plays, how do you feel? Does it feel like you're playing a BioShock type game?
It does not feel that much like a BioShock game. There's a lot of exploration, stuff like that. It actually, because I've been playing the Dishonored series, I really feel a lot of that in there. Obviously, it's the same, the same
developer.
Same team. Yeah, same developer. So you feel a lot of that atmosphere in there. It feels a little slower paced. Like it's not. BioShock felt a little bit more fast paced. Where stuff was happening. Whereas this thing here, because they're developing the story still. BioShock, you sort of get the gist of the story right away, and then you work through it. Whereas you're sort of just still discovering stuff at the beginning here. Like there's a whole thing where you start off and you're in some sort of a test thing and you're trying to figure out what's going on. I'm finding that because it's in the first hour, there's still a lot of trying to figure it out, of what's going on and what I'm supposed to be doing.
So do you think as a demo, giving you just straight the first hour isn't enough to sell the game?
I know for some people they've played this and they're absolutely loved what the first hour gave them, and they're like, oh, I'm definitely buying it now because they want to continue the story. But because it's a demo, when I look at demos, I don't want to get too much story often in demos because I don't want to ruin the game if it is something I want to pick up. And maybe I'm playing it wrong because of that. I'm not playing it to develop. I don't want to look through everything and read all the lore and everything like that, because if I'm going to pick up the actual game, I don't want to have the first hour sort of ruined for me and have to go back through the whole thing and already know what's going on.
Yeah, but I go back to how we write our reviews, and this project 5 years ago started as, or actually 6 years ago, as lasting first impressions. We review a game after the first hour, which is literally what this demo is. This is the first hour of the game. Are you convinced this is a game you want to play after playing it for that hour?
Now, this is me we're talking about, so I will play pretty much anything. So I'll preface that. So yes, I do want to play more of this, Am I sold on running out and spending, full price on this for launch? No.
Okay, fair.
It's like the game comes out, I believe, tomorrow. At present time, I don't plan on picking this game up when it launches to play. Maybe I'll go back through the demo a little bit more, see if there's something to pull me in a little bit more. But right now, there's not enough story that's really dragging me, towards wanting to just keep going.
So it's not a must buy.
Not in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a slow month for releases and stuff like that, but it's still at that point, I'm going back to my back catalog and playing through some of that stuff before I pick that up at full price.
Excellent.
They should have made the other one. That's all I'm going to say about that.
The one they originally were going to make, yeah.
The one with the bounty hunter, and like you were a bounty hunter, and you bounty hunted aliens. You were the only human in the galaxy. Like, come on.
It sounded cool. Yeah, that
sounds like Critters.
The movie?
The movie Critters.
I don't know that movie.
How
All
do
right.
you not know the movie
I
Critters?
do. All right. Let's just move on. We can move on.
Just a quick update. I'm still playing Zelda. I'm still sitting down. And, I've gotten really into Zelda Breath of the Wild. And now that I kind of got back on track into where I should have been going in the first place, everything really makes sense. I kind of have a sense of where I'm going, finding a bunch of shrines. The shrines are incredible because they're just, you go into a shrine and I don't know how many there are. There's like over 100, I think. But they're puzzles. The whole shrine itself is not... there's a couple that are just combat tests. It's just you against a mini guardian, which I kind of don't like. But the ones that are actual puzzles where you have to use your runes, and you have runes that are, for example, can turn water into these ice blocks that you can climb. You have one that's a magnet, so you can pick up and move metallic objects. Another can stop motion. So it stops anything moving in its place for like 15 seconds or so, and then you can interact on it. So any motion, if you start hitting an object that's frozen in time, it is storing that kinetic energy. So when it lets go, it will actually shoot away from what you were hitting it, right? So which you can actually use eventually on enemies. So there's a lot of mechanics in this game. Once you really get into it, there's so many mechanics in the game. It's actually quite brilliant. I mean, I'm really getting into it, really seeing how much effort and how much they put into this game. Like even trying to discover what recipes can I make with the food or with the stuff I'm finding, right? Apples, and you can get milk, and you can mix them, and mixing different ingredients gives you different potions or different health that can even give you stat bonuses and stuff. So it's I'm really enjoying it. It's fantastic.
Okay, there's still, now the only important question really is it, now that you've played more of it, is it better than Horizon Zero Dawn?
No, not. That's a hard question.
On Metacritic, this game has a 97.
I know.
Horizon Zero Dawn has an 89 or something like that.
Yeah, I don't.
97.
I know.
It's like one of the highest rated games of all time.
I know. I have still gotten to points where I'm like, I'm sort of at, where do I go? What do I have to go to the map and figure out what am I doing? Because it's not just quest after quest after quest, right? So it has that bit of gameplay mechanic in it that I don't enjoy, which is the figure it out yourself. Like, you decide what your adventure is. You all know
every Zelda has that to a degree.
But I don't like games that do that. I prefer to have quests. So for me, Horizon is still a better game for me because I have quests to do. I know what I'm doing. I'm done this quest. Okay, I'm going to go do this one now.
Okay.
And it sends you around the map. Whereas Zelda, the map is huge, and you could be, without even not even a lie, you could actually walk for like an hour and do nothing, right? Because it's just,
Okay.
So.
Okay. We're going to move it on. I just want to end that with saying that Sean hates Nintendo confirmed. Moving on. Okay, what's next?
Sniper Ghost Warrior 3. So check out our YouTube channel.
Another one of your favorite series.
Actually, this is the first Sniper Ghost Warrior game I've ever played.
Oh, what was the sniper game that you liked?
Sniper Elite.
Sniper Elite.
Wait, these are different games.
These are different
Yes.
games, yeah.
Oh, God. Okay.
So this is Sniper
So-
Ghost Warrior 3, the first one in the series I've played. Beautiful game. If you want to see more of what we did an OMG. It's episode 4. It's on our YouTube channel now. And Tico and I did that. And, okay, so big open world, which I wasn't expecting in this kind of game.
Okay.
You actually you drive, you get in your Jeep and you drive around from mission to mission. You have a drone that you can scout the area, a la, Ghost Recon Wildlands. Like, honestly,
Okay.
this game really feels like if you were to take Ghost Recon Wildlands and say, you are just a sniper. Right? So every mission you have is all about you finding that high point or finding a good sniper nest and then marking guys and taking them out one at a time, or just... in fact, sometimes you can just take out the one target and then
The
leave.
one target with leave everybody else standing
Yeah.
if you want.
Exactly. You don't have to take out everybody. You can take out just your target, and then it tells you to leave the area, right? And that's your mission. I really, really enjoyed it. What I found, though, when compared to something like Sniper Elite 4, I found Sniper Elite 4 to be... I'd say more engaging. Like, I want to play it longer than I would this game. Like, because this game is sort of mission based. You go to this spot, you do a mission, and then you're done. Then you have to go back to your base and find another mission to do, right? So it's very segregated. Whereas Sniper Elite is like, your mission is literally the map you're on, and it's all about getting to your target, but in doing so, you kind of just want to take everybody out,
Well, they give you in Sniper Elite, they give you little side missions that you can do, but those aren't
Yes.
your main targets. Whereas
Side-
this one here,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
you're jumping from act to act, part of the story,
Exactly.
trying to finish off the level. But it really does feel like it's given to you almost in small little bites.
Yes, yeah. Now, the gameplay-wise, it's fantastic. Controls, fantastic. Using the gun is good. I like how you have to actually look at how far you are, determine how far you are away from your target, adjust your scope accordingly. Hold your breath like you would in Sniper Elite. I find the controls, though, the button mapping in Sniper Elite feel more natural than in Sniper Ghost Warrior. Because, for example, in Ghost Warrior, to hold your breath, you have to hold the left trigger, or sorry, not trigger, the left stick down in order to hold your breath. Whereas in Sniper Elite, you hold
It's the bumper.
it's one of the bumpers.
Yeah.
So control-wise, I find Elite's a little more natural. Sniper Ghost Warrior is still fantastic. You still get the bullet cam, which is fun.
Not the X-ray though. You
Not
don't get the
X-ray. You don't get the X-ray.
You get the bullet chase cam, but no X-ray.
Right. But the world is beautiful. Like, it looks great. It really does remind me of Ghost Recon Wildlands. It has that open world feel to it.
Yeah.
So,
And this is set. This is set modern day as well, as opposed to Sniper Elite, which is set World War
II.
One and Two.
That's right. Yeah, this is modern. So
if I was only going to play one, Sniper Ghost Warrior versus Sniper Elite, is that right?
yeah.
Yes.
Am I mixing up all these damn titles? Which one would Sean recommend as a sniper connoisseur?
Sniper Elite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would recommend Sniper Elite if you were to make me choose. They're both good games, but I prefer the Elite series.
All right.
So, excellent. All right, guys. We have, as I mentioned, a great opportunity to speak with Dan Amrich about his latest project with Palette Swap Ninja, which is Princess Leia's Stolen Death Star plan. And what better day to do that than one on our 250th episode, and second, it's May the 4th. So if you don't know what this is, you're going to find out. This is Star Wars meets the Beatles. We'll be back right after this.
It was many years ago today, in a galaxy so far away. It's a period of civil war. They don't want the Empire anymore. The rebels made a daring move. They got some data in their hands. Princess Leia stole a Death Star plans.
Dan, welcome back to the OMG Hour for the third time.
Yeah, I feel like there should be a special plaque or something that I could.
Well,
I could have
I think you need
a
to be
key
on
to the
here.
washroom.
You need to be on here 5 times, then we'll give you that special plaque.
Okay, all right.
Um,
I will try to continue doing things that you think are interesting enough to have me on the show.
Or apparently we'll send you steak knives in the mail. I don't know. That's what Tico thinks.
That's fine. Second place is
Yeah,
fine.
that's
Yeah,
good.
that's good.
That's good. So yeah, welcome back. We had you on, coincidentally, we were just reminiscing about the first time we had you on the show. Was exactly 5 years ago,
To the day.
May 4th, 2012. We had you on our very second episode of this show.
Well, may the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you as well.
Yeah.
For another very special reason. Of course, now 5 years later, here you are finally releasing this super secret project that you told me
Yeah.
about 5 years ago.
Well, first of all, if I told you about it 5 years ago, how super secret is it? I mean, seriously. I'm really bad at keeping super secrets,
Well,
apparently.
I have no idea how many other people you told, but I said nothing to no one.
That's right. You were an early confidant. Well, because I knew I could trust you with it, and I was at the time we had just come up with a concept, and I was dying to tell somebody,
Yes.
what was going on with it. So
So now why don't you officially announce what it is you can now finally get out to the
I can
world?
finally, yeah. This is the first time I get to talk about it too. By the way.
Yes. Oh, awesome,
so-
awesome. So exclusive right here on the OMG Hour.
Well, it's not really exclusive at this point because when this is airing, we will have released it a few
No,
days before.
I'm pretending it's an exclusive.
Oh, okay. Then exclusive. That's fine. If you want to just change the word exclusive's meaning, then I'm happy to
Sure.
play along. My friend Jude Kelly and I used to be in an 80s cover band, and we played together for a while until he moved away. And when he moved away, we wanted to continue making music. And we had joked about doing a video game parody band,
Yep.
and then we made the joke real. And so we put out 10 songs under the name Palette Swap Ninja, and we both sort of got the itch to do something that was more significant. Like we would work on a song, and it would take us 2 months to do a song, and we would put it out there. And we said, I want to do something more like a concept album. I want to do something bigger so that when we release it, people won't go, "That's great, I'm bored of your song already." Like we kind of wanted to do something more substantial.
Okay, yeah.
So my idea was to tell a story. We've noticed that the songs that we had done before that people really liked had story elements. Halo,
Yes.
our Red Hot Chili Peppers thing, told the story of a very specific kind of gamer. Rage Quitter told sort of a story of a kind of gamer. Arcade Gaming Shrine is probably one of our better story songs. Viva Pinata, the first one we did. So we realized that's what people really seemed to like. And like, well, okay, I grew up doing musical theater, and, why don't we do something that tells a story? And because Jude and I are big gamers, and specifically arcade gamers, my dumb idea was to tell the story of the King of Kong, the Donkey Kong
Okay.
documentary film, and apply it to The Who's Tommy, because I thought when you think of storytelling in music, Tommy is, sort of the first legitimate rock opera and everything. And I also had one joke in mind, and that's generally how we start stuff, is if there's a joke, build on that joke.
Okay.
So Steve Wiebe and Billy Mitchell are the two characters, the actual real-life players who are in the King of Kong documentary. And so I thought, from Tommy, see me, feel me, touch me, Wiebe. That's it. Everything will flow from there. That is not what happened. Because while that joke made me laugh, it still makes me laugh, I got maybe 2 lines into it. It's a boy, Mrs. Mitchell, it's a boy. It's a boy, Mrs. Wiebe, it's a boy. And then couldn't figure out where to go for a year.
Oh man. Oh
Like
wow.
I was like, no, this is going to work. I got to work on this. And so I came out to PAX East the following year, because Jude lives outside of Boston. It was one of the only times I got a chance to see him in person now.
Right.
And my wife Kat, was with us, and I said, I'm really sorry I haven't made more progress on this. This is supposed to be our big opus, right? And Kat just looked at both of us and said, "You guys are so stupid. It's not coming. You've waited a year to try to make it happen, and it's not working. So it's not the idea for you. And besides, King of Kong is so niche, and even Tommy, it's like well known to rock historians, but you've got to think bigger. Think about something that works for all of pop culture, that everybody is instantly going to recognize. Take 2 things that a lot of people absolutely love, like take Star Wars and put it on like Sergeant Pepper. And it was just off the top of her head
So-
that she was thinking of it.
Kat literally came up with the idea just like that.
Came up with the concept 100%. And I looked at Jude, and Jude looked at me, and I swear I could see like little cartoon light bulbs, because we realized, I'm like, oh my god, that would work. And so we went out to lunch. We were on our way to lunch at that point. We sat down in that little Irish pub that's connected to the Boston Convention Center, and in that time, Kat says I came up with the title "Princess Leia's Stolen Death Star Plans." Sorry,
Yep,
right there.
Right there.
Rather quickly, because I knew I needed to have that cadence right. And I guess before the end of the meal, we had a couple of things sketched out. We definitely knew that it was going to be Luke is in the desert and whining for Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. So to me, that meal was about, well, could it really fit? So we started like scribbling stuff down, and we had to figure out if the structure of the narrative of Star Wars would actually apply to Sgt. Pepper in order, because we were adamant we're not going to shuffle the tracks around. If it starts here and it ends here, our music has to start here and end here too, and do the same thing.
So I was going to ask you why that particular album, and it was pretty much Kat's idea all along.
It was Kat's idea because Sgt. Pepper is, one of the most important albums of all time. Everybody that knows anything about music has heard of the Beatles, and generally you know that Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is the album that revolutionized rock music. Oh my god, what if we did crazy stuff? What if we had an orchestra?
Right.
Things that we take for granted now were absolutely amazing and rule-breaking in 1967 when they were working on this. So, yeah, we figured everybody loves Star Wars and everybody's super passionate about Sgt. Pepper. Even if you're not a huge fan of either one, you kind of know the story of Star Wars, and you kind of know the story, that Sgt. Pepper is a thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
well,
that's why.
Sgt. Pepper was an experimental album for them to begin with. Doing stuff they'd never done before.
Right.
They had finished touring and they just wanted to experiment with music. So was that daunting to you? Saying basically taking this experimental album and say, can we do it justice?
No, not really. Because we're hyper arrogant. Of course, of course. I mean, we were terrified almost all the way through because we realized we were the downside of taking something that is beloved and historic and revolutionary is that people have dissected it, people have internalized it, people feel very emotional about it. So no, we were absolutely horrified. We're like, oh my god, this isn't just like a cool single by Red Hot Chili Peppers or like The Wallflowers, Jacob Dylan's top 10 hit. If you're not going to disrespect that, and people are going to go, whatever, Well, but if we do the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper wrong, we will never hear the end of it. Well, so we were very, very frightened to approach it, and that's why it's taken so long, because we knew we needed to do it right. We knew we needed to do certain things very particularly and very accurately. And I'm also a nerd for that kind of detail. Okay. So we both just said from the beginning, this is going to be, we're going for accuracy. We want it to sound close to what people remember. And I wound up mixing the album, so I was also, I think, more annoying than Jude is when it comes to, that's Ringo's over like 2/3 in the left channel with his drum kit, because that's how they mix the stereo thing. Even though it sounds like crap, we're going to follow that because that's what people know.
Yes, I am the same way. I got, when we did our 100th episode, I had to make sure that our skits sounded the same as Bob and Doug McKenzie. That's another story.
Yeah.
But I totally understand where you're coming from there. Now,
well, so $10 is $10.
$10 is $10, man. So, a couple questions actually. When you had you on your when we had you on our show 3 years ago on our 100th, you were talking about when you're writing these songs, you always want to make sure even that the cadence of your lyrics are exactly the same as the cadence on the original. How hard was it to write the story of Star Wars to the Beatles' cadence?
It was very hard. I mean, but to me that's where the magic comes in. It's not exact, but to me a satisfying parody song hits those cadences. This is something that I've stolen from Weird Al. I mean, everybody that makes parody songs looks to Weird Al for guidance, right, in some way or another.
I wonder
why. But I
why.
realized, it's who knows. But I've really noticed that when he writes stuff, the lyrics kill every time. The lyrics, he doesn't break on the wrong syllable. He breaks on the correct syllables. And that's, it sounds weird. And sometimes I'll hear people do parody songs where they try to, I got to get this cultural reference in, or I got to get this punchline in. And so they jam it in so that it does not fit the cadence, and then it's not hummable, and it's not what you liked about the original song.
Right.
Weird Al has that down to an art. So I really spent a lot of time, I mean an obscene amount of time, going over every possible lyric that could fit, and then how it would balance. At the time, I was living in LA, and we missed our friends up here in San Francisco. I live in the Bay Area now, just above Oakland, and so we would take these 5-hour car rides from LA to San Francisco. That's what I would do. My wife Kat would drive, and I would sit there, sometimes with headphones on, while she was listening to something completely different, because it's a 5-hour drive, and I would sit there and just work on lyrics. It was a 5-hour drive each way. If I was lucky, I would get maybe 2 verses, but that was the most I ever did. So it took more than a year to write the lyrics to a point where I was happy with them. They were polished. I went over them with Jude. Because I'm a writer, so I did it first, and then I would go to Kat, and I'd bounce ideas off of Kat in real time. And then I would go to Jude and ask him, and he would say, well, refine this, or, could you work this reference in, this dialogue? So in addition to just getting the cadence right, I'm also looking to get exact lines of dialogue where they fit correctly, so that people would know where they are in the story, and they'd get that little, I get it, I see what you did there. This whole album is not a clowny kind of, ha-ha kind of album. It's more of a, I see what you did there album.
Well, yeah.
And a lot of that is, the lyrics had to be satisfying. So yeah, it was forever to put the lyrics together.
But that's the nice thing about this album, is that it's, how do I put it? It's humorous because, I see what you're doing there. Because you're telling the story of Star Wars to someone else's music.
Narrative.
Yeah, but it still comes across as humorous because of the way it's, and it's great. It's, you can't help but smile.
I haven't listened to it for a week. I had to stop listening to the album, so right now, maybe it's good, but I heard a little snippet of it, and I was like, oh, that's garbage. What did we do? And meanwhile, Jude is off on a trip right now. That's why he couldn't join us. But he's like, "Oh, I love it. It's great. No, the more I listen to it, the more I like it." I'm like, "Okay, I have to trust him because he is less sort of down on himself the way that I am. Like, no, we've done everything wrong. The Beatles fans are going to hate me. The Star Wars fans are going to hate me. Everybody's going to say, why did you bother to do that?" That has not been the early reaction. People like you and the other people that we've given a sneak peek. Depends on how big of a fan you are of either Star Wars or Beatles as to how much you appreciate it.
Yeah, but, I kind of like Star Wars. I mean,
so I figure I think most people will probably connect with it on the Star Wars level because that's where the novelty is.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I have never really been a huge Beatles fan. I know Beatles songs, but I don't own any of their albums. But it's one of those things where you've heard Beatles. I'm sorry. You've heard, some. I mean, I don't know all of the songs, but I still love them because it's Star Wars, and I have to tell you, in my ears, you sound like the Beatles. Seriously, the way you've mixed it, it's brilliant, Dan. It's serious. I don't know how you did it, but
the running joke with Palette Swap Ninja is Dan sounds just like, and then you fill in the artist, and I don't hear it. We got it a lot with Halo, with the Red Hot Chili Peppers thing. People are like, he sounds just like Anthony Kiedis. If you go to YouTube, look at our video, people are like, he sounds just like, and I'm like, I don't sound anything like Anthony Kiedis. And Kat's like, you've got some of his inflection and some of his vowel sounds, and you've got just enough that other people are not A-Bing it. They're not listening to it and going, oh no, I see where he did it.
No.
Throughout this album, I'm A-Bing it. I'm recording it and going, no, that guitar tone is a little bit off. I have to make some adjustments. Or, oh, he's hitting that sound, or he's hitting that lyric in a different way, and I would retake it if there was something specific about the way that I heard one of these guys sing the songs.
Right.
Just to try to get that much more accuracy. It's a different word, but if it's delivered the same way. So thank you. I mean, the goal was to try to ape it, but I don't hear it the way that other people hear it, so you sound just like them. I'm like, well, that was certainly the goal, was to try without making it too cartoony.
No one likes their own voice, so.
Yeah, well, least of all me. I hate hearing myself talk.
So as you're writing this, and actually both as you're writing it and as you're mixing it, how often did you have to go back to the original music and listen to it over and over? Like just even writing for the lyrics, but mixing more importantly, you want to
Yeah.
get the mix right. So did you constantly have it playing sort of in one ear while listening to yours in the other type thing?
So I would just have the album in iTunes, and then I would have our project in Logic Pro X on a Macintosh. So I would play something, and then if I wasn't sure, I would go back and listen to that segment. And for things like Ringo's drums, the drums were very difficult. Jude did a first pass on the drums, did I would say 80 to 85% of all of the drums on the album, maybe 90. And then I went back and I was like, you know what? There's a distinctive fill that, having listened to Sgt. Pepper, I was more of a Beatles fan than Jude is. He loves the Beatles, but like he was more into the Doors, and he was in a Doors cover band and stuff. So he knew what we were going for, but he's like, I think you're gonna, like you've got the ear for this more than I do because it's Beatles. And it's not always the case. Like when we covered Thomas Dolby, he's the guy.
Yeah.
But so I was like, no, there's this really distinctive fill that Ringo's doing. So I would go in and MIDI tracks are basically just little lines on staff paper, like a piano roll is actually
Right.
what the editor is called. So I would go in and move those because one at a time with my mouse.
Wow.
To get so that there were several hours of just Sundays where I was like, I've got to work on Ringo's fills on this track and it may not matter to anybody else, but it mattered to me. Jude was like, sounds great, and then I would say, all right, well, I just spent 8 hours adjusting this, and he would go, sounds even better. He didn't, and I don't think that most people will care, but I did, and we didn't do everything 100%, but we did certain things that were very particular. The tabla. The Indian hand drums on Within You Without You, which we do as the Force Within You.
That song was that. Well, yeah, I was just listening to that even just before we recorded this, and wow, that is a detailed song.
That one, I'm very. I mean, this was absolutely a group effort, but that particular song was actually 100% me, and I can't believe it.
Wow.
Jude and I sort of. We worked on different songs at different times, and we would just pass files back and forth. So Jude would, do keyboards and all the drums and anything orchestral or symphonic, and then he would pass it over to me, and then I would add in the bass and the guitars, and sometimes I would give him a guide vocal ahead of time so he knew where he was in the song. Sometimes he would give me a guide vocal, which are pretty great because Jude is not like a singer by trade. Jude can carry a tune, but his guide vocals, I threatened that maybe I would just put out the whole album with the guide vocals as an alternate mix. But in that one, neither one of us knew how to approach that because this was serious Indian musicians playing on a pop record for pretty much the first time, and we don't play sitar or we don't play tempura, which is the droning sitar-like sound. The thing that everybody thinks is sitar, when it's just droning in the background, it's an instrument called the tempura. And I only know that because I went to have to look it up and go, how the hell did they do this thing? So I said, yeah, okay, what are you working on? He's like, oh, I'm working on this track. I'm working on this track. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I guess I'll take a crack at it. And I think I think I drew the short straw. But yeah, I wound up doing using stuff that I had never used before on my guitar to make the guitar sound like a sitar, and then make guitar sound like strings, and then you use this like a sample of a tempura in the background, and the drums were just a digital tabla, like a patch. Like we bought one of the audio interfaces. Jude and I have matching equipment. It made this project a lot easier. And sometimes when you buy audio hardware, it comes with like, and here's a sampler pack of some of the other things that we do. Well, one of the sample instruments that came with it was a digital tabla. And, they're thinking like they can say, hey, it comes with 20 instrument sounds. And, there's stuff you'll never use. Like, who the hell's going to use a tabla? It was exactly what we needed.
You needed.
So
perfect.
I'm sitting there with a little MIDI keyboard hitting the keys, and I wound up making little Lego blocks of like, this is something that sounds similar to what I know from the album. This is close enough. This is a pattern that they kept going back to. And then I just rearranged them until they sounded good to me, except for the solo, the call and response part, which is, I believe, exactly the right rhythm. So yeah, we sweat those kind of details. Nobody may appreciate them in the end, or they may just go, "Wow, that sounds really good," which is the goal. Is have people go, "Wow, that sounded pretty good."
Well, you just mentioned rhythm, and it was funny because I was literally going to ask you or mention that as I'm listening through them, even watching the videos that you've got ready to go, keep moving, was like, you couldn't have asked for a better tempo music for that particular scene.
Well,
escaping the Death Star.
Yeah, we kind of got hosed because up to that point, we had a couple of pillars for the story. Like, I knew that she's leaving home was when Luke was going to find Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru dead, and so he's leaving home. That's when he gets off of Tatooine. So
Right.
that made super thematic sense. I'm like, all right, so we've got the title joke, and then we do that. And whatever happens in between, Luke is in the desert and whining. Okay, I'm sure we'll figure it out. Then I guess Mos Eisley is sort of like this carnival atmosphere, and that matches Mr. Kite's carnival atmosphere. And then when we're on the Falcon, and Ben's teaching him about the powers of the Force with the remote and everything, and Han says hokey religions and all this. Oh, well, then let's do that because it's about religions and spiritualism and stuff. Great. And then we get to the end, and I'm like, all right, I have a problem because I know the trench run needs to be a day in the life. It needs to be complete, and the track before that is the reprise of the main theme, and that's just like a minute 20, and that's just going to be like, we got the plans,
Right.
So okay, that's the briefing room, that's fair. In between there, to track 10, which is the end of the Garbage Masher, and track 12, which is the briefing room, it's 15 minutes of the movie.
Yes, yeah.
And I found myself completely hosed because I'm like, all right, this seems like such a disservice. We've been leaving things out strategically that people wouldn't notice, but I legitimately have to summarize 15 minutes of the film in 3.5 minutes.
Songs. So
Yeah.
5 years in the making, perfect timing. I know you guys have been working super hard because you wanted to get it out for the 40th anniversary of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So it's out now. Princess Leia's stolen Death Star plans.
Yep.
Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band. Did I get that right?
Yeah. But the cadence matches, and that's what kicked it all
exactly.
off.
No, I absolutely agree.
It worked.
So congratulations on getting that out. Tell everybody how they can download this, where they can get it from.
Well, the good news is it's free. You can go to our website, paletteswapninja.com, spelled like it is there, no hyphen in the URL. We also have a YouTube playlist if you'd like to just watch it. My wife, Kat, built videos for the entire album, and you can just sort of watch along as the album plays.
Works
and
really
see
well.
The references.
Her editing job is amazing. I can tell you.
She did a fantastic job. Early on, we were kind of hoping to get live-action cosplayers to do videos, and that didn't work out. But Kat was like, I'm going to do the fan video, and I'm going to do it right. And arguably she did. So that's at bit.ly/Star Wars Beatles. That was
Nice.
the easiest thing to do.
Perfect.
bit.ly/Star Wars Beatles, all lowercase, and and then the videos link you back to the website. So yeah, it's out there, it's free, and hopefully people just dig it. And yeah, it's the 40th anniversary of Star Wars, and then a week later it's the 50th anniversary of Sergeant Pepper. So this really was our zeitgeist moment. We had to get it out for this month, and so we decided to do it in time for Star Wars Day, so that maybe it'll get a little piece to build. So if you like it, yeah, please spread the word.
Absolutely. So thank you again for coming on to tell us about this. Congratulations. Dan, thanks again. Yes, good. Perfect.
With Princess Leia's stolen Death Star plans, we know where our torpedoes go. Princess Leia's stolen Death Star plans, just shoot here and the place explodes. Princess Leia's stolen, Princess Leia's stolen, Princess Leia's stolen, Princess Leia's stolen, Princess Leia's stolen Death Star plans. We hope the Empire can't defend. Princess Leia's droid is holding stolen Death Star plans. It's getting very near the end. Princess Leia's stolen, Princess Leia's stolen, Princess Leia's stolen Death Star
Awesome, excellent. Thank you again to Dan for being on the show. That is fantastic. I love having Dan on. We need to have him on more often so he can get his steak knives.
Yes. Wait a second. Where are my steak knives?
They're in the. I told you. Have you not got them yet?
You know what we could do for Dan is just tell him they're in the mail.
They're in the mail, Dan.
Because, they know that you've said it, and it's already proven that the mail is really slow. So just tell him they're in the mail, and then he won't even know that they haven't actually been sent.
I see what you're doing. All right, gents, let's look back at the last 5 years of this show. Let's reminisce of what's happened throughout the show. First, I want to go through some of the milestones on the show, of course, other than, anything that happened after episode 1, of course, episode 1 being the first, when Craig and I introduced the show. I went back and listened to the first episode again.
And
I realized how differently I spoke back then. I was like very, well, this is, I would talk very quietly and very almost timid, like I didn't know what I was doing. And it's like, I'm like, speak up, man.
it's funny.
I felt very stiff. If almost like I was stiff. Like I just, I wasn't. Yeah, there was something missing compared to now.
It's funny you say that because I've been an artist for a long time, and every artist hates everything they do after it's done. And like all you can do when you look back is see all the things you messed up. And like other people might never notice any of that stuff and think that it's amazing, right? But the creator will always go back and be like, I should have done this differently. I should have done that differently. What was I thinking right there?
Yeah.
So it's good. Yeah. I commend you for going back and listening to it and realizing how awful the first episode was. What were you thinking?
Man, it was something, let me tell you. I enjoyed listening to it again, but I was really surprised at how differently I speak now versus then. So, milestones. Episode 13 is when I met Sid Bolton for the first time. When Craig and I went down to the PC Museum and met him and interviewed him. And of course, he's been a big part of the show pretty much ever since, Of course, he's been doing our weekly Lost Treasures. The last few weeks we haven't had one because he's been busy, but our Lost Treasures were coming up on 2 years since we started that. Wow. Episode 21 is when Craig left the show, and Jeff, you came in temporarily while we waited for Craig to come back. Yes,
I can leave at any moment.
This is still temporary? Thank God.
Temporary gig. It will remain. Well, I mean, realistically, everything in life is temporary when you really think about it.
Episode 100, of course, our epic episode 100, where Jeff, you and I spent 3 months planning that thing.
Oh my gosh!
Right.
So much work went into that episode. If you are a new listener, you've never listened to episode 100, go back and listen to episode 100.
It's still available. It
is a pretty good episode.
It's fun. Of course, Dan Amrick was on it again. Dan was on our second episode, and then he was on our 100th. Episode 104.
Every time he comes on, he's got a new job too.
Right? Yes. Episode 104 was, I should have been mentioning the dates, but May 4th, 2014 was our first episode of Lost Treasures. So
what was that Lost Treasure, Sean?
Ikaruga.
Oh, he knew. I didn't think he was going to know.
Episode 169, September 3rd, 2015 was
the best episode ever,
when Tico came on and turned our two-host show into a three-host show.
Really, the beginning of the end.
My quest for steak knives.
It really was the beginning of the end. That's right, Jeff.
Sorry.
And of course, who could forget episode 200 when we came to YouTube? We decided to live in the now.
Yeah,
we've been doing video for a year now.
Our ugly mugs out there.
That's right. That's right. So, quick milestones of the show. Things we're kind of proud of, and it's been great. It's been an awesome ride. What I also noticed as I was going through the history of our show is all of the segments we've tried to do over the years. We always try to do something fun, a new segment here, right? And we try stuff. So when Craig and I first started the show, we had our retro replay where Craig and I would actually play an old game, like an old older arcade game, and then we talk about it. You know, how does it stand up to today? We also had Game of Shame. So we would talk about games we are either ashamed that we played, ashamed that we haven't played, or ashamed to admit that we played. That sort of thing, right?
Yeah, I don't think I'd have a problem admitting any of those.
Interestingly enough, episode 1, my Game of Shame, was the Assassin's Creed trilogy, the Assassin's Creed series, that I hadn't played them.
Yeah.
And
You're
now,
lucky I wasn't on the show then, because I would have been like, don't worry, you're not missing anything. They're
now
terrible.
I have an Assassin's Creed tattoo. So it's amazing what 5 years can change. Like, I've played, since that moment, every single Assassin's Creed, and you all know how much I love the series now. So it's amazing what can change from when we started the show to today. Gamer Unplugged, of course, we had Justin Amercani's, we would follow his trip when he traveled through the States as a vagabond. So we did that for many weeks while he was gone, and we had him on the show a couple times to talk about it. Campaign Corner. Jeff, you and I started doing something called Campaign Corner, where we'd pick like a... This is when Kickstarter was huge. Remember that? Like, it was just everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Starter.
And we'd pick a game to feature or talk about. And then we moved on to Greenlight Spotlight, where we would talk about games on Steam's Greenlight that we found interesting. That didn't last long either.
No.
We also tried to do something called This Week in Gaming History, right? We take the
did?
Right? Anybody remember these? Where
Was that 1 week we did that?
Some of these literally were something we tried and it never caught on, so we never did it. We had one called Bad Translation, which we were going to say, take a name of a game, run it through multiple language translators, give
See how it comes back.
give us the result, and we have to figure out what the game was to begin with.
Daddy, I need you to check my ear.
Okay, can I do it after my podcast?
Well, maybe...
Say hi to everybody, Leah.
Hi, Leah.
Hi, Leah.
Hi.
Hi.
So I will come check your ear as soon as I'm done, okay?
Okay.
Okay. I love you. Go see Mommy, okay?
Bye.
All right, Leah, out.
Mm.
Leah, close the door.
Bye, Leah.
Sorry about that.
Bye, Leah.
All right, out. Out. Okay, I'm not going to check your ear. I'm not going to check your ear.
Nicely done.
All right, so that just so we're clear, I've been pretending to pull Kinder eggs out of her ear for about 2 weeks now.
Oh, no, you
gosh.
screwed yourself.
So she now expects this every day. Like, it works kind of because we tell her that if she does a good job listening, that's what grows the Kinder egg. And so then I'll pull it out of her. But the look on her face when that thing pops out of her ear is priceless.
Wow.
To the point she's actually sitting in the back of the car on the way home from school going, trying to pop it out the other side. So, I mean, it's entertaining for us, but it's costing us a lot of Kinder eggs, so.
It's your own fault, man.
It is. Sorry for interrupting.
No,
Please
that's
continue.
that's fine. Finally, we tried to do something called Retro Reboot. This lasted a few weeks. We'd pick an old game and we would discuss what would that game look like today if we were to reboot it.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah.
That one was hard.
That was
required
hard.
a lot of thought.
It was
Yeah.
hard, but these were, it's just, I found it interesting going through all our notes because me being me, we have every note. We have all the show notes right from the beginning till now, all saved in our Google Drive. So it was interesting going through and seeing all the stuff we tried and failed to continue. So, all right, Chico.
Yes.
Since you weren't here for most of these, why don't
All
you
right.
quickly go through what our game of the year has been since our games of the years. What have they been since 2012?
All right, so 2012, Game of the Year was Dishonored,
Which you just finished.
which I just finished now in 2017, so 5 years late.
Good, good.
But then 2013 was GTA 5.
Have you finished that yet?
No, but I can actually jump into that one because there's a remaster of that too. So
Of
that works
course
out
there
great.
is.
That's a great game, GTA 5.
I'd finished it on the 360, and then when it came out, I got it for the Xbox One. I just haven't played through it yet, but so I will do that eventually, and then give you my review 4 years later. 2014 Dragon Age Inquisition.
Oh yes, deservedly so.
That was a great game.
That was a good game.
Before you move on, again,
Yes.
I was listening to the show where we nominated. The next one. Go to the next one, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to say.
So 2015 is The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt.
Right. So we were talking about this, and Jeff, it's funny what you had come up with is you said we typically vote for RPGs on this show, but then I looked back at what had won, and Dishonored and GTA, and Dragon Age. Out of the 3 years we had Game of the Years, we had only voted for one RPG.
Well, I don't remember what I was saying at the time, but Dishonored I would still kind of call role-playing-ish. It's a stealth game, but it has
You're playing a
role-playing
role
mechanics.
in the game.
And GTA 5 has role-playing-esque mechanics.
Oh,
but I think that if a really strong RPG came out, we would vote it over the popular thing.
Oh, you're probably right. Absolutely.
Because we are RPG fanatics.
Yeah. All right.
I mean,
20...
Not last year. I don't know where the hell that came from.
2016, last year, was Overwatch.
Yes,
Sean, have you seen the new Overwatch skin for Diva?
What? No.
Oh my gosh, go check it out. She's a police diva. When she charges, she gets lights on her head.
Did see that. How do you get it? Is it just a loot box?
What? Oh no, my friend. You can totally unlock it.
Oh, I have to play Heroes of the Storm, don't I?
You have to play Heroes of the Storm.
All right, guess what I'm playing this weekend?
I guess we're all going to go play Heroes of the Storm.
Right? I got to have that skin. Okay. So over the next little bit, for the next 10 minutes or so, we're going to kind of go through some of the stuff we used to talk about, and like, what happened to this? Over the years, we've talked about a lot of stuff, obviously. Going way back to episode 2, May 4th, 2012, Inside Xbox videos were discontinued. Do you guys remember those?
Yeah, I do remember Inside Xbox because that's where my comic was.
Remember Major's Minute and all these great videos that they used to do? They discontinued it completely. I had completely forgotten those things were even a thing until
they still do something now, but it's not quite. It doesn't have the same pull that those once did.
No, that's true. July 13th, 2012, Oculus Rift hits Kickstarter. Wow, that's the beginning of the VR revolution right there. 2012.
Long ago.
2012 it started. 5 years ago, the Oculus Rift hit Kickstarter. Does it seem like it was 5 years ago?
I mean, it was in dev forever, so yeah, maybe it does seem like it was 5 years ago. I mean, the promise was different, right? I mean, back then it was get your dev kit, get us money to build a dev kit. It wasn't even build us money to build a company at that point. It was just get a dev kit so you can start thinking about games because we're going to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is pre-Facebook. This is Lucky Palmer sitting in a shed with no shoes on, you know, tweaking stuff. It's before all of the lawsuits from Bethesda.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yep. And of course, over the years, we've had lots of topics we've come up with. We talked about what motivates you to finish a game. We asked ourselves, do graphics have an effect on your enjoyment of a game? Like if it's good graphics versus bad, or if you take indie games and 8-bit games. You all know that I don't like 8-bit style games. I don't like that old style game.
At least
so
9.5 at least.
Or
9.5 at least for me.
Yeah, at least. So yes, like I have a thing for graphics. So I don't know why. I mean, a game is a game when you really come down to it, right? Mm-hmm. Graphics shouldn't take away from the experience, but in my opinion, they do. If I think back to even Fallout 4, graphically it wasn't that good, and to me it took away from the experience.
Yeah,
well, we all feast with the eyes first. I mean, that's when you're looking at a meal, like that's the same thing with a game. You're looking at a game, you want something that draws you, that grabs your attention first, before you're going to look at it. A game could look like crap and be fantastic, but you may never play it because it doesn't draw you in.
Yeah, well, exactly. If it doesn't look good, unfortunately, I think sometimes gamers, judge a book by their cover. Literally, we judge a book by how good it looks, or judge a game first at screenshots. Like, what's the first? What do you see in a lot of reviews? You see screenshots. Of course, nowadays you can go to YouTube and watch people play it, but back then when we asked this question, all you got really was screenshots, and it's like if the game didn't look good, most people probably didn't have an interest in it.
Mm-hmm.
Moving down to a few things. In episode 35, we were talking about all of the dozens and dozens of Steam boxes that were at CES 2013.
Yeah, that was going to be a big thing. That's what everybody was saying. We're going to get Steam boxes in our living room. And then,
what happened?
Well, everybody realized that Steam boxes were overpriced and dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get a Steam box for your living room. I mean, anybody can build one for next to nothing. Compared to if you go get an Alienware or all those manufacturers and all their Steam boxes, they're really expensive for what you get.
They were really, really expensive, those initial pricings.
They were, yeah, for sure.
The only good thing that came out of that whole initiative is the Steam controller, because that kind of pushed a lot more games to start supporting gamepads on PC, which was good for the games that could use them. But honestly, even that was sort of overshadowed by how ubiquitous the 360 controller is on all PC games,
Yes.
Well, there's a lot of PC games when I plug in a 360 gamepad, all the interface changes to look like 360 buttons.
Yep.
Usually the ones that I designed, actually.
That's right, yes. I had that in here where you talked about why you support indie games, because they give you credit when they use your button pack, but the AAAs don't. They steal it from you, basically. I mean, you put them out there for free, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
the
indie developers typically are the only ones who give you credit for your work.
Yeah. Well, I put them out there for free with a license.
Oh, okay.
A Creative Commons license that is... it's unported attribution license. So these are free to use as long as you tell everybody where you got them from. So indie developers have always, from what I've noticed, it's not like they have to call me and say hey, just so you know, right? But every time I've seen them, and I see them a lot, I've seen them in Lord of the Rings games, they're in Duke Nukem, they're in all sorts of freaking AAA games. I used to have a list that I maintained. It was huge. And I would check the credits, never there. But on indie games, they're there. Puzzle Quest has my buttons too. That was the first one that I noticed.
Cool. Yeah. Now, on the same topic of the Steam boxes, I thought this was, it again, interesting to go back and see what we were kind of sort of worried about, in the industry. And in 2013, there was a plethora of new gaming consoles coming to market. We had, of course, the big three, Xbox One, PS4, the Wii U, PC and Steam box, the Steam boxes were coming. We had all the third-party stuff. We had the Ouya, the Game Stick, On Live. Apple TV was going to get into gaming. We had the 3D.
They did.
They did. I know they did, but we thought they were trying to kind of be their own thing.
Oh yeah. No, they did not establish a bulkhead on that beach. Let's say
handhelds, the 3DS, the Vita, the WikiPad was coming. NVIDIA's Project Shield was coming. And of course, in the phone market back then, we had iOS, Android, BlackBerry, and Windows Phone 8. And it was we're kind of looking at it, and I asked the question, when you look at Wikipedia about the big video game crash of 83, or really happened in 84, but the main cause was supersaturation of the market with hundreds of mostly low-quality games, which resulted in loss of consumer confidence. Yeah, exactly. Right? So we saw all these things coming to market, the Ouya, the Game Stick, all these independent stuff. Where are they now? Literally nothing stuck. They came in and they disappeared just as fast as they came in. There's no Ouya. It's not even supported anymore, I don't think. I don't think the Game Stick...
plug it in.
The Game Stick's not supported anymore at all. Project Shield, I know it came out, but is it even still a thing?
I do not believe so, no.
No, I don't think... last time I saw that was 5 years ago, where they had a display at Canada Computers or something like that.
Yeah, so... you know, it was so much happening back then and nothing. Now we've just got your major stuff still, right? Like you said, even Apple TV, yes, you can get iOS games on your Apple TV, but it's not.
No, they're not iOS games.
No, they're Apple TV games.
Oh, are
If
they?
Yeah. They're straight up designed and built specifically for Apple TV.
Oh, okay.
You could totally go get games on the high end Apple TV. There's games.
Yeah.
They're all terrible, and you play them with the remote.
I know, or
with an iOS remote,
or with your phone,
or with your phone, which is still terrible.
Yeah. Okay, I want to jump down to May 10th, 2013, which was episode 51. Microsoft IllumaRoom. Do you guys?
Oh man, you talked about this for years.
Do you remember this?
Well, only because we brought it up earlier. But yeah.
This was going to be sort of an extension of the television. It was going to be a projector, you know, and then the game could come outside of the television and in part of your room. And it looked
I remember you being very excited and me being very skeptical, and I won.
Well, what happened to it?
I didn't know how it was going to work. Like, how is this going to work? If you've got dark painted walls in your basement, how is it going to project well?
I don't know. I don't. Nobody knew how it was going to work.
It's a cool idea,
but I wonder if that's kind of what morphed into HoloLens.
Yeah,
you know,
I think that may have been like we've got this really cool idea, and then somebody down the hall goes, "Hey, we got this VR thing.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a better use of your time." And they're like, "Oh yeah, maybe we should just do that instead."
Well, I think it's important to remember that a company the size of Microsoft is going to have, you know, multi-millions of dollars in R&D. I don't think it's fair to draw a line from IllumaRoom to HoloLens when HoloLens could have totally been its own initiative, right?
Sure,
it's really hard to say. But they've got, like I said, millions of engineers, which is going to equate to, you know, hundreds of engineers just trying to dream up the next big thing, right?
Yeah, and
sure.
they're working on tons of things that we will never even hear about.
Oh, all the time. All the time.
It must have been a slow day where somebody said, "Listen, we got a meeting. We got to talk about something. See what we got on the books." And somebody, here's this
and
aluminum.
then somebody takes some felt and they glue it to a laptop keyboard, and they're like, "The new Surface Book. It's a foamy top lap book. Everybody's so happy. Oh, look at the new laptop. It's so nice. It feels so good. It's got a touchscreen. It's $1,000 and you can't install Chrome. Oh no!
What? Oh, let's not get in. That's current news. We can't talk about that on our
that's
250th.
next week.
Oh, that's real? Oh, I didn't even know. Oh, moving on.
Jeff, do you remember when I came and stayed in Ottawa for a weekend I was there for a week, and we went and interviewed at Snowden Studios in Ottawa for the game called Windforge.
Yes, I remember that. That was a good time.
It was a great time, but what happened to Windforge?
It came out.
Did it? I never saw it.
I've heard of it. I've never played it, but I've heard of it.
I never saw it come out.
It tanked so hard.
Did it?
I feel bad for them. Yeah, no, it did not go well. I checked, actually. I check every once in a while. What the hell is going on here? I check every once in a while. And last time I checked, I'm stuck in the game. Okay. Last time I checked, it had pretty poor reviews in Steam.
Oh man, that's too bad. It was a fun time though. We actually got to go to the studio and interview them right there in their own studio. PS4 VR headset was rumored to be a thing way back in 2013, September 9th. In episode 68, we started talking about that, and it didn't get released until pretty much 3 years later, on October 13th, 2016.
Well,
so,
I mean, I don't know if PC fans are going to... here we go, Windforge. I don't know if PC fans are going to agree with me. Oh, it's got mixed reviews. It was released on March 11th, 2014, just for the record.
Windforge did, yes.
Windforge, yeah.
Okay.
You know, of all the VR headsets, I know Sony's has sold the best.
Yes, it has.
But despite the fact that it is the least technologically advanced, I think it's the best offering from any of the three. So they really took their time. I mean, they were also the last one to get released, right?
They were.
So.
Well, yes, and I mean it wasn't far off from when was it that When did I say Oculus came to Kickstarter? Almost a year. Actually, it is a year after Oculus hit Kickstarter that we heard about the PSVR. So yeah, they had. But again, like Chico said, the PSVR, much like HoloLens, could have been in development for years before we ever heard.
Well,
of
we
it.
knew it was because that was the whole reason they came clean about that. Years later, the light bar on the PS4 controller
was
they
for
said
that.
it was designed for VR.
Yes.
But they had to just make up an excuse because the VR wasn't ready.
Right.
So they're just like, oh yeah, it's so cool, right? Look at these colorful lights that change. So cool.
Yeah. Which makes me wonder if they had wanted VR at launch, but they just knew it wasn't going to be ready.
No, I don't think so. I don't think they would do that much right off the bat,
Fair.
That's a lot of manufacturing. That's a lot of shipping. That's
true.
a lot.
It affects your price point that you can come out at as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, I think, where they have to wait for the market. They had to wait for people to get software and Microsoft's still waiting, right? And I wouldn't even say that Microsoft is wrong in that regard.
Yeah.
So anyway.
December 12th, 2013, episode 82. We were so excited to hear about this new indie game called No Man's Sky.
Remind me. Oh, why did you bring it up? Can we just erase this horrid mistake?
3 years, practically, to before it was launched. They announced it, and we all know the downhill battle it went. From that point, it was. Yeah.
So bad.
It became our 2016 most disappointing game.
Yeah.
Biggest disappointment 2016.
Biggest disappointment. That's my favorite category, I think.
Yeah.
So is it you think it's gonna go for 2 years in a row?
No Man's Sky? No. Actually, I already have a couple ideas about what my biggest disappointment of 2017 is going to be.
Interesting.
But that's for Christmas time.
That's for another time.
Not for now.
So, gentlemen, just a few minutes left. We've got. That was episode 82. We've still got a couple hundred episodes, but we've picked out some highlights. What kind of stands out to you guys here that we've talked about over the years?
There was a few interesting things that I got out of the because I went through 100 to 200. So
yeah.
Okay, some quick things. July 23rd, 2014. 2014, many moons ago, in episode number 113, was the first time Blizzard said that our characters will carry over to Destiny 2.
Right.
Which, of course, is kind of topical now that they've just announced that, your characters will. It's just what they said and what they were implying is very different now. Mm-hmm. Still kind of true. Your character will carry over, I guess, but whatever.
Nothing you own will.
Nothing you own or did or anything like that.
Nor will your levels. Nothing. Just your character.
Also, in episode 122, in September 27, 2014, Blizzard canceled Titan. And that is super significant because Titan was supposed to be the replacement for WoW. And of course, a lot of the team rolled off of Titan and onto the Overwatch team. And a lot of the characters in Overwatch are actually characters from Titan.
Well, what was
Tracer,
Titan going to be?
Well, they've never actually come out and said what Titan was going to be. But Tracer was in Titan.
Interesting.
So Titan was not it was not like a fantasy style setting. It was a more modern setting like Overwatch, but they've never come out and specifically outlined it. They've really only said that Overwatch was born out of the ashes of Titan. So I thought that was pretty significant in retrospect. Back then we were like, oh, that's too bad. I wonder what it was next. Then it spawns into the juggernaut that becomes Overwatch.
I wonder if we'll ever see a map called Titan, just because.
Just because. Why not?
Because
right?
maybe. You never know.
Are we putting the links in the show notes?
Yeah. We'll throw all this into the show notes.
I just want to say there's a link in the show notes called the Return of the Obra Dinn. It is a probably I would call it a 4-bit game. And it is
I'll
actually
play it twice.
It is orange and black are the only two colors in the game. but it's a first-person adventure mystery game that was made for GDC. I talked about it on the show way back on October 24th, 2014. And I recently found it again on my hard drive and started playing it. And I was like, man, this game is just so cool. So it's a mystery. Go check it out.
It actually looks really good for a 4-bit 2-color game.
Right? It's really cool looking.
Like I'm impressed with the graphics.
Right? I know. And then I'm just going to say one last thing here, and then we can talk about whatever. Episode 137, January 16th, 2015, is when we first talked about the year that we get loading screens, video games and our loading screens back. Because there was a patent secured by
Konami, wasn't it?
Konami. I want to say it's kind of some Japanese developer. That they owned the patent for playing a game while the game was loading. Like even just Pong. You couldn't play Pong when you're loading. There's more than enough computing power to do that, but you can't. And I, at the time, anticipated that once this patent ran out, we would get games in our loading screens.
Yeah.
Namco, by the way. It was Namco. Thank you.
That's it.
I have yet to play a game in my loading screen.
And you know what game needs it? Sniper Ghost Warrior 3. Because the loading screen, I am not even exaggerating, guys. The loading screen into that game is 5 minutes long. On a PS4 Pro, it took 5 minutes to load the game.
Wow.
From my hard drive. It's just terrible.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That needs a game. Needs a mini game right there.
Do you want to know my favorite game while something isn't loading? If you're in Chrome, maybe you guys know this. If you're in Chrome and you lose your internet connection and you get a message saying there's no internet connection or something, you can press spacebar and it'll turn into a infinite runner with a dinosaur, and you can jump over barrels and stuff and just try to get a high score. And then once the internet comes back, it'll come back.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
That's my top tip. It's my favorite thing to do when I have no internet connection.
So that got us to episode 137, but there's we've talked about YouTube gaming launched. Konami pulls PT from the store back in 2015. Wow, that was almost 2 years ago now. I still have PT on my hard drive.
I do not.
And then, of course, last year in 2016, the biggest things we talked about, of course, was VR. It was the launch of VR, Oculus Rift, Vive, PSVR. Interestingly enough, in episode 201, GameStop, we talked about GameStop was going to start publishing games under the Game Trust brand, which they have done, but they are absolutely terrible at marketing them.
Yeah, there's that one. What was that game called? The underwater game that they did.
I can't remember, but here's the thing. Yeah, I don't remember the name of that. They've had a few games out. Deformers or something recently.
Oh, is that theirs?
That's theirs. So here's the thing. The game is more expensive in store than it is to buy digitally.
Yeah.
And second, they don't even reach out to media with press releases. Like, nobody knows about them. They're just... How do you market games when you literally aren't marketing games? What's the point?
Well, their whole concept is we don't have to market the game because we're going to make our employees shove this game down everybody who walks into the store's throat.
That's true.
Which really helps in an era when everybody's shopping digitally and not working into a GameStop.
And people automatically, you walk into a store and they're saying, you got to try this game, and it's not necessarily a great game or anything. People automatically just get turned off of that because they're being forced it. Do you want to pre-order this game? Do you want to pre-order you're picking up Mass Effect. Do you want to pre-order Deformers? Because that really seems like it's up your alley.
Right?
I don't even know what it is.
Okay, one final thing. July 14th, 2016, Epic Pokemon Go launches. Oh, yeah.
That was so much fun at the time.
It was. It was
so much fun.
I had a good month or so of fun with that game with my girls, but then it died a quick death. It's just
I mean, there's still people that play, but you're right. It was a phenomenon for the time that it was a phenomenon.
Yes.
Well, I remember hundreds and hundreds of people in the park,
right?
In downtown Ottawa, like where there was a whole whack of gyms and just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. It was crazy.
I know.
Like there was more people in that park and this is Ottawa I live in, right? Nation's capital. We have a lot of events that happen in this city all the freaking time. And I have never seen more people in that park than when people were playing Pokemon Go. Ever.
I know. It's
Ever.
crazy.
And that is the park right like down the street from the Parliament buildings.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It was ridiculous. It was quite a phenomenon. It really was. A short-lived phenomenon, but a phenomenon nonetheless. But it was fun.
I'm sure we could install it right now and play it before the end of the show.
It still works. There's still the game out there, but nobody's playing it. Well, I'm sure somebody's playing it, but
Somebody's probably still, because the second generation has come out. I think I actually finally deleted it from my phone. I did. It's not there anymore. But it was only just recently. But anyway, that is it. Again, thank you for staying with us, those of you who've been listening since episode number 1. I know there's some of you. I do appreciate you sticking around. I enjoy our friendships, our discussions on Twitter. I'd like to know who more of you are. So, reach out, write to us, tweet to us, tell us you like the show, share us with your friends. Thanks for sticking around. This has been episode number 250. Epic 5 years of the OMG Hour. Gentlemen, thank you for sticking around with me, and I hope you stick around for another 5 years.
5 years.
Temporarily.
5 years.
Temporarily,
Oh my
of course.
God.
Temporarily.
Yes.
I think 5 weeks, maybe.
I've got a fear of
tops.
commitment.
Okay.
Wait.
I don't know if I can.
No, listen. If you like the show, you should subscribe, comment, and share with your friends, regardless of what platform it's on. That would be wonderful. My name is Jeff. You can follow me on Twitter. I think I retweeted something today. That's at CynicsSINNIX. Of course, you can follow this show on Twitter at the OMG Hour, and all the show notes and the link to the game that I was talking about is on OMGNexus.com.
And of course, I am Ziantane everywhere, and Ziantane is Xiantayne.
And you can follow me at Mr. Second Place.
All right, gents. Thank you again. This has been
Awesome.
episode 250. We'll be back again next week, as usual.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, guys.
This has been an OMGNexus.com production.